Welcome to Short Movie Channel. Today's story begins in the state of Ohio, USA, with our main character, Karts, who is currently suffering from a very frightening and terrifying nightmare. This nightmare consists of visual and auditory hallucinations of lightning, thunder, and rain, and the rain falling from the sky is not water at all, but rather oil. Karts feels extreme fear and terror from what is happening, and we learn that he is married to a woman named Samantha, and they have a deaf daughter who neither hears nor speaks, named Hannah. After the three of them have breakfast together, they talk about what they will do on this day. Then Karts says goodbye and goes to his job at a construction company. Unfortunately, due to the heavy rain, he is unable to continue his work in excavation. He then heads to Hannah with his friends, where they spend some time drinking and chatting. Later, he gives his friend, Duarte, a ride home late at night, and they talk while in the car. Duarte tells Karts that he is much luckier than him because he has a stable life with his wife Samantha and daughter Hannah, but Karts responds that life isn't as rosy or as good as he thinks. When they arrive at Duarte's house, they notice that his wife is waiting for him outside, and it seems their relationship isn't in the best shape. After that, Karts returns home, where his wife Samantha is also waiting for him, and she greets him with love and affection. They talk about their daughter Hannah, and Samantha tells him that Hannah doesn't play with the other children and that she is very worried about her. The next morning, Karts goes to the back of the house to clean up the place completely from trash, but suddenly he sees a huge storm approaching him, with lightning and thunder striking fiercely. Their dog starts barking and bites Karts on the hand. At that moment, Karts wakes up from the terrifying nightmare, and we find out that he was dreaming, but we see that the bite from the dog on his hand hurts him a lot. During breakfast, Karts is still thinking about his dream and feels scared and anxious about the dog's behavior towards him. When he sees his daughter Hannah playing with the dog, he picks her up and moves her away, not wanting her to get close to it. Meanwhile, Samantha notices all these strange behaviors. Even when he goes to work, he keeps looking at his hand and still feels scared and anxious. Later, Karts goes and buys a house and a fence for their dog. The next day at work, Karts notices a flock of migratory birds in the sky, and he is very puzzled, wondering what could make these birds migrate. After that, he quickly heads with his wife and daughter to the school for the deaf and mute where they will enroll their daughter Hannah. But on the way back, Karts' nightmares continue to haunt him, and the sky rains gasoline and oil on him, and he can't see anything in front of him while driving, leading to an accident. He sees someone open the car door and take his daughter Hannah, while another person chokes him, and he wakes up unable to catch his breath from the terrifying nightmare. In the next scene, Samantha takes Hannah and they go shopping for some things, while Karts stays alone at home. He sets up the doghouse outside and builds a kind of fence around the house to keep the dog inside. This setup is specifically designed to protect people from storms. He looks for his key, goes out again, and locks the door behind him. That night, Samantha talks to Karts and asks him why he's keeping the dog like that. Karts feels annoyed and angry, telling her that the dog is his and he's free to do what he wants. The next day, Karts sees his daughter Hannah sitting by the window while it's raining. He calls out to her, but he's shocked to see someone standing in front of her behind the window on the other side. He quickly lifts her up, and the whole house shakes around them. Karts keeps screaming and talking, but he can't catch his breath and feels intense pain as we see. Suddenly, he wakes up from sleep and realizes it was a nightmare, just like every day. He finds that his bed sheets are completely wet. His wife enters the room, but he doesn't let her come close. After she leaves, he cleans the bed sheets and changes them. Then he takes his daughter Hannah to the library and picks up a book about hallucinations, dreams, and nightmares. After that, Karts returns home to find that they have guests. He feels embarrassed for being late. He sits with them, and they chat and catch up. Suddenly, Karts says he feels like something is going to happen, which is why he plans to organize the basement. Everyone is shocked and skeptical about what he says, and no one responds. The next day, Karts goes to the doctor and asks for a strong sedative and sleeping pills because he hasn't been able to sleep well for 4 days and is having terrifying nightmares. Additionally, he experiences scary hallucinations and visions. The doctor indeed prescribes him sleeping pills and also gives him the number of a psychiatrist in Columbus, telling him to see him right away. After that, Karts returns home and takes the sleeping pills. Finally, he is able to sleep without any scary dreams or nightmares. The next morning, he wakes up feeling refreshed and heads to work, but suddenly he hears loud thunder and lightning in the sky. He gets very scared and asks his friend and colleague Duarte if he hears the thunder and lightning, but Duarte tells him there's nothing going on and laughs at him. At this point, Karts feels very anxious and scared, sensing that something isn't right and might happen. He buys a large container and goes to visit Sarah, and we learn that she suffers from schizophrenia and hallucinations like him. He asks her about the onset of her illness and how it started with her because he fears it might be hereditary, and that he could end up like her. A few days later, Karts goes to the bank to take out a loan that would allow him to continue building the safe shelter he plans to create. He keeps digging, building, and preparing the shelter with the help of his friend and colleague Duarte, and we also see him spending a lot of money. When his wife Samantha finds out about this, she breaks down, especially since he spent their daughter Hannah's surgery money for her cochlear implant. Meanwhile, Karts is afraid to tell her the real reason behind his spending all that money, so he takes a large dose of the sleeping pills this time. In the middle of the night, Karts experiences a seizure and is unable to catch his breath. Samantha calls for an ambulance, but Karts feels fine and doesn't go with them. Later, he sits down with his wife Samantha and tells her everything in detail about the nightmares he has while sleeping, as well as the hallucinations and delusions he sees while awake. Karts feels that a storm is coming that will destroy the world, which is why he is building the shelter and hideout to protect them. However, Samantha doesn't believe him and is shocked by what Karts is saying. She talks to her brother to convince Karts that what he's saying isn't right and that it's a form of madness. Her brother comes to talk to him, but Karts is determined to execute his plans. He also gives their dog to Samantha's brother, saying, "Take him with you. I don't want him anymore." Once he finishes building the shelter, his boss at work fires him because he found out Karts used the company's tools for personal projects. When Karts returns home, Samantha learns what happened and that he was fired, realizing they won't be able to afford the surgery for their daughter's cochlear implant. She decides to leave him, but she comes back because she loves him and doesn't want to abandon him in these circumstances. She insists that he needs to see a psychiatrist, and he agrees. A few days later, Samantha, Karts, and their daughter are invited somewhere, and suddenly, Duarte shows up and gets into a fight with Karts because the manager found out he was helping Karts at work and fired him too. Duarte says to Karts, "You're crazy, and your craziness cost me my job." Karts then punches him hard, and Karts doesn't back down either. They start hitting each other. Karts enters a severe rage, overturns the table, and screams that a devastating storm is coming. No one believes him, and everyone present is shocked by Karts and his crazy behavior. 2 days later, Karts is with his daughter Hannah on the street when he sees a flock of birds in the sky. He gets scared and quickly grabs her. Suddenly, a tornado and a strong storm hit the sky, and the birds fall dead to the ground because of the storm. Karts picks up his daughter Hannah and runs, but he wakes up from the dream, realizing it was just another nightmare. He hears a loud alarm due to an approaching storm in the city. He quickly takes his daughter and wife and they head down to the basement, putting on breathing masks, and spend the night there. The next day, Karts is afraid to go outside, thinking that his nightmare has come true and that the storm has destroyed the city completely. But his wife talks to him, encouraging him to open the door. When he does, he believes what he sees. The sun is shining, the sky is clear, and the storm has ended. The city hasn't been destroyed at all, and their neighbors are living their lives normally. At that moment, Samantha takes Karts, and they go to see the psychiatrist, who explains Karts' condition to them. The doctor tells them that Karts needs to stay for a treatment plan. Karts refuses to be away from his daughter and wife. In the end, they agree that Karts will take a trip with his wife and daughter to calm his nerves. After that, he will return to start the treatment plan with the doctor. They actually go on a trip to the beach at Martel. We see Karts playing with his daughter Hannah in the sand, building castles together, But suddenly the weather changes and the storm begins. The sky starts pouring oil instead of water. At that moment, Samantha realizes that Karts was right and that he wasn't crazy after all. They exchange glances and rush into the house. And that's how our story ends today. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, if you liked the video, to support us with a like and subscribe.